if you're not following him at Baldy NFL, I believe on Twitter, man, what are you really doing? Are you really a football fan if you don't follow Brian Baldinger on Twitter? I mean, this guy has got breakdowns for days, just top-notch analysis, and we're so honored and privileged to bring him on the Football Playbook Show here on this beautiful Wednesday morning. Buckle up, Baldy. You got the band of Cobra Kai going on.
That's it, man. I've been grinding away all morning long here, just getting ready for whatever this is, week 10 right now, Rick. So
it's unbelievable. Yeah, I know. We're interrupting your film room study, but man, I've been bragging here all week long, it seems like, about a video snippet that I saw, a vignette of you breaking down Jalen Hurts. And at the end of the video, you made a bold proclamation that Jalen Hurts is throwing as pretty of a deep ball, if not better, than Josh Allen and or Patrick Mahomes. Now, this was before the Josh Allen injury, so I got to ask you, I mean, is there a better deep ball thrower than Jalen Hurts right now?
Well, I mean, you look at, some of these games right here, 3 touchdowns to A.J. Brown. I mean, one's prettier than the other. A.J.'s been a big difference in this offense. I mean, he's just T.O. out there right now, the way he's dominating physically. But, I mean, it's not just A.J. It's, Devontae Smith has had his share. And, Quez Watkins is a very underrated receiver that has tremendous speed. I mean, and the tight end can never be discounted from a deep ball. So, like his touch on it right now, he's not getting intercepted. You could say, okay, he's throwing jump balls, he's throwing into coverage, and sometimes he is. But he's also telling his receivers, I trust you to go make the play. I mean, against Pittsburgh, and A.J. Brown jumps in front of Minkah Fitzpatrick and catches the touchdown. But it's week in, week out right now, the way the deep ball is going down the field, and he's really good at it. And, you show me Patrick Mahomes deep balls this year. Show me Josh Allen. Show me anybody. Maybe Tua, with his receiving threats. But Jalen Hurts has no fear making those throws right now.
It's amazing how many different ways this offense can slice and dice you, quite frankly. And he had a great quote about being a triple threat. Like, yeah, I can beat you with my arm. I can beat you with my feet. But I really love beating defenses mentally. Hey, everybody says the Chiefs and the Bills are in a different category. I look down. I have here the Chiefs averaging 30 points a game. The Eagles are averaging 28 points a game. I think their offense is just as good as any offense in the entire National Football League. And I saw your buddy Kurt Warner on his QB Confidential just broke down Jalen Hurts' performance from the Texans game, and he pointed out a slew of elements of Jalen's game that he's improved upon, being able to read through his progressions, but also getting rid of the ball quickly, throwing guys open, processing faster. He's losing confidence this year. I mean, what have you seen, Baldy, from his progression from last year to this year? We saw him against Kenny Pickett a couple weeks ago, and everybody says, oh, well, give Kenny Pickett some time. He's a rookie. But Kenny Pickett's older than Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has got 3 years in the football league.
Well, I mean, look, just talking about Jalen, just knowing him, being around him in the offseason he's a very committed pro athlete. Nothing's going to derail him. He always said, even coming out of college and through the first year in Philadelphia, that Lincoln Riley was the only guy that he felt ever really coached him. And he wants to be coached hard. We saw some, a couple little incidents last year with him and Nick Sirianni kind of battling. But that's okay. Like, he wants to be told, like, I'm wrong, I need to go here, and vice versa. Sometimes quarterbacks just have to blow off coaches and just go with what they see. They're on the field. They're the ones that have to make the decisions. So he's not afraid to do that either. And he has done that. When they made the trade for A.J. Brown, Rick, I don't think anybody knew just how close these two guys are. Like, Jalen's the godfather to A.J. Brown's daughter. Like, they're very close. And they're very competitive. And so that has worked out really good. And then the offensive line has played well, and they run the ball good. And so, the thinking is, once you get your quarterback, never stop building around him. and the Eagles haven't stopped building around him.
I think it's safe to say they found their quarterback. And Shane Steichen in his press conference yesterday actually mentioned the tape study, the preparation, the work that Jalen Hurts puts in. And, we saw it against the Cardinals too, like Kyler Murray with the game management there at the end, spiking the ball. Remember, they put that homework clause in his contract and then took it out. Like, Kyler Murray is not putting in the kind of work Jalen Hurts is. And you mentioned Lincoln Riley, who at his pro day, whoever was willing to listen, Lincoln Riley was telling teams like Jalen Hurts ran that Oklahoma offense that all these NFL coaches were coming into Norman and trying to pick his brain about. He said Jalen Hurts ran this offense more efficiently than Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield. But teams didn't want to hear that, right? All 30, everybody bypassed him and, didn't think he was a franchise quarterback. Man, I'll tell you what, between him and Geno Smith, I got to say, I've just seen just huge strides, just so much improvement. And I want to ask you this, Baldy, because Howie Roseman is going to have a big-time decision on his hands to make. Lamar Jackson's the guy that's been talked about resetting the market. At what point, though, I've got to think that there's a scenario, if Jalen Hurts wins NFL MVP, God forbid this team goes deep into the playoffs, or should they win the Super Bowl and maybe even Super Bowl MVP? I mean, am I crazy to think it's Jalen Hurts, not Lamar Jackson, who could eventually reset the quarterback market?
I don't know the contract stuff, Rick. I don't know how that stuff works. I mean, I know that the money's going to be big. Honestly, I don't believe Jalen thinks about it for 1 second. He was the 53rd player taken in the draft, but there should be no player discounts because you're the 53rd player. I mean, if you're at the top of the charts, which he is, if you're at the top of the charts, nobody's taking care of the ball better than Jalen Hurts right now. He has 3 turnovers in 8 games. Nobody is taking the ball away more than the Eagles. They've got a good formula, and he's a big part of it. And you can't just plug in anybody and run this offense and lead. That's the other thing is, everybody knows the leadership that Jalen brings. You talk about the work ethic. The work ethic is there, but just the leadership on the field, off the field, how he conducts himself. You can go to sleep every night and not have to ever worry about Jalen Hurts, ever. He's never, ever going to be in a predicament
Means a lot.
He's in a compromised position. It's just not who he is. They played that last game on Thursday night in Houston. His father was there. His father coaches, he coached his high school team. His brother coaches. He had 50 family members there. It was a big deal to him to go to Houston, where he was raised, Texas born, Texas bred, coached by his dad. Could have gone to Strathmore, could have gone to all those big North Shore High School in Houston, could have gone to all those schools, played for his dad, and so he was raised the right way. And it's almost a military type of discipline that he has. And he's not satisfied with anything that he's done. The record, his statistics, he's on a mission. And it's a beautiful thing to watch the development.
No, it really is. I think his godfather was the ball boy for the Texans or worked in some capacity. He shared a story about being around Andre Johnson and growing up, and Steve McNair was an idol. And so, man, this Jalen Hurts is as good as it gets. Let me ask you this, Baldy. I mean, to me, it's a November to remember. They just took care of business against the Texans. The Commanders, I give Ron Rivera a lot of credit for keeping this team in the hunt. I don't think, even though they should have won that Vikings game, I don't think they beat the Eagles. I don't see the Colts, and I'll ask you about Frank Reich later in the segment. I don't see the Colts or the Packers being much of a threat. I think that the Eagles get to December at 11-0. Is it time for Mercury Morris and the boys to start quivering? Do you think that's a realistic shot that they can run the table?
Well, they could. I mean, the schedule stacks up for them. I was just talking to players yesterday on their day off, Rick. I mean, none of them thought they would be 8-0 at this point. They thought, okay, if we could turn the corner at 5-3, 6-2, Thursday night, football, Houston, mini bye, we'd be in good standing for a second half run. I think, honestly, Like I don't think they're thinking about being undefeated. They're going to start getting all those questions. Where's the first loss? I mean, all that stuff is normal. That's just chatter. I don't think they think like that. I don't think it'd be good though to be 17-0 going into the playoffs. I don't think that. I think then you feel pressure, like you have to win, and they might not play loose and free like the way they have. I do think they have to get challenged though, Rick. I got to see a fourth quarter comeback, come down the field, the way the Jets did, to beat Buffalo the other day. They need those type of games where they've got to be challenged. They've got to be challenged by injuries or penalties or calls that go against them, or a flurry of turnovers that might show up. Can they overcome that stuff? Because that's the stuff that gets you prepared for January. So I don't think the record really matters that much to them. I think being prepared for the situation, whatever that is what they need coming down the stretch.
Yeah, they haven't dealt with a lot of adversity. Now, they have been somewhat challenged with the injuries on the offensive line. I mean, Kelsey, granted, he didn't miss a lot of time, maybe 3 reps, but he had the ankle. Lane Johnson missed some time with the concussion. Mailata, I think, is the big concern with the shoulder. I think the Texans game was his least effective, where we saw some vulnerability. Now, Driscoll has been a stud in relief duties at left and right tackle. They activated Dillard. They haven't had a call on him, but what is your thought process on the offensive line depth, specifically the tackles long term? Is Dillard a guy they can count on at left tackle if they need be, or is it just Driscoll's the swing man at this point? And how concerned are you? I know Lane Johnson was at a mental health event this past Saturday with them playing Thursday, and he mentioned at the event, like, hey, I might want to play another 2 years. Is tackle a position that the Eagles have to kind of keep in the back of their mind in the draft? And what is it moving forward? Like, if Lane Johnson goes down or Mailata's shoulder acts up, what's the contingency plan, do you think?
Well, I mean, it's Stoutland University. As long as Jeff Stoutland is there, honestly, Rick, like nobody develops players better. I've been around Jack Driscoll a lot. He really rebuilt his body, works over at Lane Johnson's house in the offseason, really trained hard, got bigger and stronger, and he's more confident. And, being that swing tackle is a tough position because you don't always get the reps you want, but, he handled the left tackle position well. They drafted Cam Jurgens. Like, he's ready to go. Kelsey is hanging on. He's just Kelsey. Like, he's nobody tougher. But, this is it. This will be the swan song one way or the other. And, maybe he could get through the season. It's tough. I mean, it's not easy getting, he gets a day off during the week, whatever. But he's still balling on Sundays like nobody else. So I think they're going to be fine. Dickerson has been a stud. But you always have to keep building, Rick. You can never be satisfied in the trench. I got a text message at 6:05 a.m. Monday morning from a general manager saying that he's never believed in anything more than the commitment than to build your team to the offensive and defensive lines. And his team went and won a game the other day, big game. So that's how the Eagles think. So that won't change. They miss Jordan Davis right now a great deal. He doesn't have a lot of tackles, no sacks, but he's a space eater inside and talented guy. And it showed against the Houston Texans. Dameon Pierce ran up the middle all day on him without Jordan in there. So they got to get Jordan back in there, and he'll come back. But that's the philosophy in Philadelphia.
Yeah, the tackling's been an issue. That's been well documented. They've struggled against the run, which is a concern because they've got a gauntlet with Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, Chicago Bears. I mean, the Green Bay Packers have a pretty good backfield too. But let me get your opinion on Robert Quinn, because I'm curious to know what you thought of that acquisition, how he made quite a few splashes in the offseason, and then he kind of tinkered with it at the deadline deal, and even in limited action. This guy's got to be accounted for. So you lose Jordan Davis, who eats some double team coverage, but it seems like when Quinn is in there, he commands that double team respect as well.
Yeah, he can. I mean, he's there like when they brought in Chris Long. You know, he's going to come out of the bullpen. He's going to give him pass rush, veteran leadership. You know, he got out of Hades, and he rose into heaven there, leaving Chicago, come to Philly. So that's a great feeling. You got a very competitive team. Practices are competitive. He's got a roll. I mean, they're 8 deep on the defense line. They roll him through there. Him and Brandon Graham are the two guys old in the tooth. Do they have, pass rush left? Fletcher Cox, is the three of them. They've all been in the league about the same amount of time, 2011, 2010. They're there to win a championship. So it's a 1-year run, and we'll see what Quinn can give him. He hadn't done much so far. But, the big games are coming up. And so we'll see if, he can shake loose and win his one-on-one battles right now.
Talking to Brian Baldinger, NFL Network's finest here on the Football Playbook, along with Rick Saratella. I want to pick your brain on some league-wide topics. So before we do, one-word answer, Baldy. We're in agreement. The Eagles take care of business and pick up the W this week against the Commanders on Monday night. Are we in agreement?
I am, but Washington's they're playing their brand of football, but I don't think they have the explosiveness necessary that you need to beat the Eagles. So, yes, I do think that they take care of business at home.
Okay. And for what it's worth, I watched that game against the Vikings. I thought they should have won that, by the way.
They had chances.
Yeah, so I don't think this is like how Vegas sees an 11-point favorite. I don't see that at all. But I want to pick your brain because we only have a few minutes. Frank Reich, just a bizarre situation out of Indianapolis this past week. Frank Reich relieved of duties, 41-35 as a head coach. He came out yesterday, said he, was disappointed. He was hurt, gave his heart and soul to the organization, thanked Jim Irsay and the Colts organization for that opportunity. He's 60 years old, Baldy. We've seen a lot of younger head coaches in recent years. There's a lot of younger, up-and-coming head coaching candidates. He's going to make $180,000 a week through 2026 from the Colts, but he does have head coaching aspirations. How realistic is it for Frank Reich to get a head coaching job? And if he doesn't, is he somebody that you think would consider an offensive coordinator role again?
I think we can. I don't think the head coaching thing is going to happen for him. I just don't. Frank's a quality guy. He's got great beliefs. He's an easy guy to work for. But I don't think the head coaching thing, they're just, Kevin O'Connell, just look at the guys who are getting hired. I think he had his run. He was part of a Super Bowl winning championship team, had the Colts highly competitive, but it's a young man's game, period. And so not that he doesn't have the energy or the ability to do it, but I think if he wants to keep coaching, probably coordinator makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the NFL is a trendy league, and we're seeing, the young coordinators are the guys getting hired. With that being said, what do you make of this Jeff Saturday situation? I don't know how much you can speak on it, but it just seems I know he's done some consulting work there for the Colts, and I watched the press conference where Irsay and Chris Ballard said they had tried to bring him on some kind of coaching capacity in the past. I know he coached high school ball, but man, there's only 32 of these gigs. And for a guy to not have any NFL coaching experience is
I know the organization. I played for the Colts. I know Jimmy Irsay. I knew his father. His father fired one of my coaches one year, Ron Meyer. You had the interim coach, Rick Venturi, take over. But this is unprecedented. And they can say, well, I don't care about experience. I want a leader. I don't want a guy to have any – I listened to the press conference. I know what Jimmy said, but this is like – I put myself in Jeff's shoes the other day when he got the job, and he took the job. I wouldn't take the job because I don't believe that I'm qualified for the job, number one. And number two, I wouldn't even know how to approach it. Like, how do you stand in front of a room of coaches and players that you don't have any relationship with? And no trust with. Now, they don't have any trust in you, and you don't know them. You don't even know their names. And I just think it's an untenable situation. And you can say, well, it's about leadership. Gus Bradley, John Fox, Bubba Ventrone, Reggie Wayne, the staff will handle it. It's a broken team. The offensive line is completely underwhelmed. maybe Jeff Saturday can lend his expertise to the offense line. I don't think he can get, Quentin Nelson healthy again. I don't think that, pick a guy on Brett Pryor is all of a sudden going to become Mark Lewinsky, who's now playing with the Giants. Like the line is broken. Like maybe he can help fix that, protect the quarterback. But there were some real flaws. I don't know how you could go from Matt Ryan and just go straight to Sam Ehlinger and pass over Nick Foles. Like it didn't make any sense to me. Like if you're going to replace Matt Ryan, replace him with the Super Bowl MVP quarterback. Period. Like why go straight to Sam Ehlinger? So there's some things that Frank did that and maybe it was all mandated by the owner. I don't know. So I just think Jeff Saturday is in a situation where I'm wondering why you would do that, Jeff. Like you could say, well, nobody expected anything from me. I was a free agent. Well, I was a free agent too. Like, okay, so you made you made a name for yourself, snapping the ball to Peyton Manning and being a good player, like a lot of us have done. But that doesn't qualify you for what's in front of them right now. And I can't even begin, Rick, to think about all the game day decisions that have to be made in real time. Like there's no prep for that. So whether it's clock management, whether it's instant replay challenges, like all that stuff has to be prepared and set up. And like he doesn't have any preparation for that. So, you only have so much time to get ready for this game against the Raiders. I just think it's going to be a tough go.
And as you alluded to at the beginning of that segment there, you got to wonder, like Gus Bradley's been a head coach in this league.
Good head coach. Won a lot of games.
Reggie Wayne has been there for a while. And now he picks Parks Frazier, 30 years old, to call the offensive plays. You wonder how much the coaching staff feels alienated. And
no. There's nothing about that that's a win-win situation. The coaches are questioning themselves. You know how a locker room is. The players are all huddled up in corners by positions, by friends. I mean, if you're Shaq Leonard and you're one of the great players in this league, and you've gone from being a dominant defense with, whether it was Jonathan Gannon, Matt Eberflus, whatever, and you had a real system in place and the defense was playing lights out good. And you got Stephon Gilmore over there and DeForest Buckner, and you got these guys. And now you got a guy that you don't even know who he is. Like you couldn't spot, unless they watched ESPN, they didn't know who Jeff Saturday is. And he's going to stand up in front of the room and tell you why you should follow him and why you should share the vision that he has. You got to be a pro. You got to go do your job. But that's going to be a tough situation for those guys.
Yeah. The Eagles face the Colts next week, as a matter of fact. So we'll get a first up-close glimpse at that dumpster fire. Baldy, man, I have so many questions that I want to pick your brain about, but time always flies when we're chopping it up here on the Football Playbook. I got to say, I was a little bit disappointed because this whole offensive line album with Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata, I think Jason Kelsey, and they have a cameo from Merrill Reese, is my understanding. But Connor Barwin is the executive producer. Oh, by the way, I didn't see any cameos from the one Brian Baldinger on the album. Where was the invite for this Christmas album?
I didn't feel snubbed, Rick, because inside Lane Johnson's barn, where all those guys just mentioned work out most of the offseason, they do have a nice painting of me in the barn. I have been honored as an honorary, we call it the barn. I've been an honorary member of the barn. In fact, I have a 24/7 gold card to go there and to work out, which is very convenient from NFL Films here, Rick. It's 10 minutes away. And so that's enough for me.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I thought we might see Baldy on the golden mic serenading us with some.
I'll let Kelsey handle. Kelsey can handle those duties. And I've listened to Jordan Mailata, play the ukulele and sing, and he's more than qualified. And Landon Dickerson is a character. There's no telling what he would do in that situation. And I'll let the boys go handle that business.
All right. Fair enough. I got to get you out of here. We're running out of time. Tell the good folks at home. I know we're interrupting a film room session. What do you got on deck for the Baldy breakdown?
Well, I just did some breakdowns here for tomorrow's show, an NFL show. I'm going to show Minnesota's defense led by Zadarius Smith in their pass rush. I'm going to show the development of the offense and Justin Fields in the offense and why it's working. And then I'm pitching a Green Bay formula to upset the Cowboys at home this weekend. And then when I hang up with you, I have chosen Sauce Gardner and Kenneth Walker to be my offensive and defensive rookie of the years. So I'm going to put videos together on those two players and what they have done since the start of the season.
I like that. Sauce Gardner's playing hot. Tariq Woolen there in Seattle. They have another really good rookie class there. And looking forward to all those breakdowns, Baldy, man. Always appreciate the time. I'm sure we'll chat sooner rather than later, brother.
Let's do it, Rick. Let's do it. It's always fun, buddy. Good catching up with you. Thank you, man.
Yeah, man. That's the best in the business right there. Brian Baldinger, good friend of the show here on the Football Playbook. We got to wrap up. We're up against it. Tone DeShields, man, did a great job.